Ayubowan. Today's lesson, we're going to have a look at movies and TV shows, a topic that you would like talking about and that you are all familiar, right? Is a good topic for your speaking test again, right? Could be for your speaking test 1, could be for part 2, where you talk about a favorite TV show or a movie that you have watched. Could run down into questions on part 3 as well, right? අද අපි කරන්න යන්නේ movies සහ TV shows ගැන. දැන් මේක හැමෝම දන්න මාතෘකාවක් සහ ඔයගොල්ලෝ ආස දෙයක්. ඊට අමතරව ස්පීකිං වල part 1, part 2, part 3 ඔය තුනෙන් ඕනම කොටසකට එන්න පුළුවන් මාතෘකාවක්, right? All right. Oops. Interview your partner. දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝගේ යාළුවෙක්ව හරි අම්මා තාත්තා හරි නෑදෑයෙක් හරි කාව හරි ඉන්ටර්විව් ගන්න කවුරුත් නැත්නම් ඕගොල්ලෝගෙන්ම අහගන්න, right? So I'm going to think that you are asking me. දැන් මම හිතන්න යන්නේ ඕගොල්ලෝ මගෙන් මේ ප්‍රශ්න ටික අහනවා කියලා හිතාගෙන තමයි මම මේ උත්තර ටික ලියන්න යන්නේ, right? What is your all-time favorite movie? So mine is Fast and Furious. I love this series, right? It's not a series, but it's got 1, 2, 3 like that, okay? So I like it. I like Fast and Furious. Are you watching anything on TV these days, right? So for me, unfortunately, not really. I don't watch anything on television because I don't have the time, right? How often do you watch movies in the cinema? For me, I want a break time to time. So usually I go like once a month. Right? But you can write things which you like and which suits your context. Right? දැන් මෙතනදී කියන්න ඕනේ තමන්ගේ all time favorite movie කියන හැමදාම තිස්සම වෙනස් නොවී තියෙන movie එක මොකද්ද? මගේ Fast and Furious ඕගොල්ලෝගේ මොකද්ද කියලා ලියන්න. Are you watching anything on TV these days? මොන හරි මේ දවස්වල TV එකේ බලනවද? දැන් බලනවා නම් නාට්‍ය බලනවා නම් reality shows බලනවා නම් ඒවා ලියන්න පුළුවන්. මම මේ දවස්වල මුකුත් බලන්නේ නැහැ. මට වෙලාව නැති හින්දා TV බලන්න මම ගොඩක් වෙලාවට පැලෙන්නේ නැහැ TV. How often do you watch movies in the cinema? සිනමා එකට යන්නේ කොච්චර ගිහිල්ලා movies බලන්නේ කොච්චර කාලයකට සැරයක්ද? මම සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කැමති මාසෙකට සැරයක් හරි පොඩි break එකක් අරගන්න. ඒ හින්දා මම සාමාන්‍යයෙන් once a month යනවා. නිවාඩුවක් නැත්නම් ඉතින් යවෙන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි පුළුවන් හැම මාසෙකම මම නිවාඩුවක් හදාගෙන හරි එක ඩේ එකක් හරි අරගෙන මූවි එකට ගිහිල්ලා පොඩක් රිලැක්ස් කරනවා, right? Can you remember these movies? Now these are famous movies, or they were famous movies, right? What is the name? What is this? All of us know it, the ship one. Titanic. This word, it's something new for you, right? Is it genre? What is this word? Genre. Genre. Genre means what type of movie is it? Okay. What is this? This is a love story. Okay. It's love. It's based on love. You could even say romantic. Okay. So genre could also be romantic. It's got a bit of action as well, right? This one, what is it? Spider-Man. Spider-Man is full of action. You're right, it's an action movie. Next one is something that I like as well. It's Mission Impossible. What is a genre again? Action. right? So you learn two things for movies, the name and the genre. Again, name, genre, genre. It's not genre, genre, okay? Right. Movies and TV series vocabulary, right? So some TV programs go as series. You have TV series, right? And you also have movies. Now you have action movies, the ones which are fighting. Animated ones where they're like cartoon characters, you animate it. Science fiction ones based on science. Thriller, okay? Fantasy ones. What do you mean by fantasy? Fantasy means it's not there, but you imagine that that would be there. Comedy, funny ones. Romantic, the loving ones, full of love, passion. Documentary, they're like short episodes of it, but it's like a documentary, based like a documentary, but it is also a movie, right? Musical, like Sound of Music, musical movie. Horror, scary ones. You have dramas, right? TV series could also be like dramatic ones. You have cartoon ones. You have kids movies or TV shows. You have sports ones which move into a lot of sports. Biographies talk about other people's life. Example, like, maybe a famous president or a leader that we have. From their birth to their death, they make a movie about that person. Okay? So those are biographies. Right. අපි ගත්තොත් movies සහ TV series වටා එන වචන ටිකක් තියෙනවා. Action කියන්නේ ගහගන්න ඒවට action ඒවා. Animate කරනවයි කියන්නේ අපි කියන්නේ animation කියලා graphics අනමන දාලා animate කරලා හදන ඒවා. Science fiction කියන්නේ විද්‍යාත්මක දේවල් සම්බන්ධව ඒ වටා ගොඩනැගෙන කතන්දර. Thriller ones are the ones which are usually around crime and things, right? So in Sinhalese අපි එකට කියනවා ත්‍රාස්‍යජනක කියලා, right? Fantasy කියලා කියන්නේ සිහිනයෙන් අපි හදන දේවල්. කියන්නේ ඇත්තට මේම characters නැහැ. හැබැයි අපි හිතනවා මෙහෙම ඒවා වෙයි කියලා, right? Comedy හිනා යන ඒවා. Romantic ආදරණීය. Documentary කියන්නේ අපි documentary එකක් විදියට හදන ඒවා, right? ඒ කියන්නේ ඔය episodes තියෙන movies තියෙන documentary එකක් විදියට යන එකක්. ඒ වගේ එකක්. Musical ගීතාත්මක ඒවා. Horror භූත කතා හැම තියෙන්නේ horror. Drama කතන්දර ටෙලිනාට්‍ය වගේ යන කතන්දර movies තියෙනවා. Cartoon අපි හැමෝම දන්නවා පුංචි ළමයිගේ cartoon වගේ ඒවා. Kids ඒවා තියෙනවා. ළමා TV series තියෙනවා, movies තියෙනවා. Sports කියලා කියන්නේ අපිට ක්‍රීඩා සම්බන්ධ වෙන ඒවා. Biographies කියලා කියන්නේ කෙනෙක්ගේ විශේෂ කෙනෙක් පුද්ගලයන් ඉන්නවනේ ඒක රටේ ජනාධිපති නැත්නම් අපිට විශේෂ පුද්ගලයන්ගේ ජීවිත කතාව හා සම්බන්ධ වෙන ඒවා movies වලට දානවා. අන්න ඒ වගේ වචන ටිකක් තියෙනවා Tamanට TV series නැත්නම් movies ගැන කතා කරනකොට. Match the genres to the meaning. So what are we supposed to do? Match these to the meaning. Now take a few minutes and match the meanings, right? So I will read out the meanings and the genres, so try to match it. Horror, science fiction, war, action, western, comedy, musical, romantic. So here are films with cowboys and Indians. Films about the mafia and killers. Films about battles and army. Films where people sing a lot. Films about monster, ghost and vampires. Films about falling in love. Films that make you laugh a lot. Films with aliens and sets in the future. Right? Then තමන්ට තියෙන්නේ මේ genre එකට ගැලපෙන meaning එක මෙතනින් හොයලා ලියන්න. Right? So again, please pause the video, take a few minutes and do it on your own. Right? විනාඩි ටිකක් මේකට ගන්න, pause කරන්න වීඩියෝ එක තනියම කරලා ඊට පස්සේ එතන ඉඳන් වීඩියෝ එක බලන්න අපිට answers එකට discuss කරන්න පුළුවන්. Right. I hope you have done the activity now. Let's have a look at the answers. We will first do the easy ones and then later we'll have a look at the other ones, right? Now, horror is scary ones. So who comes with the scary ones? Monsters, ghosts and vampires. Horror. Musical ones, which means people sing a lot. Romantic, where you fall in love. Comedy, films that actually make you laugh, right? War, what is the war? Films about the battles or the army. Action ones, what are action ones? Usually we have science fiction, action and western, okay? So which ones do you think come into that? So science is very easy, you know. Films, what? With aliens and sets in the future is about science fiction. So action films are the films where there's a lot of mafia killing and a lot of action happening. Western is where you have the films with cowboys and red Indians and things like that in the past, right? So here we had a look at some of the genres and the meanings. දැන් මෙතනදී අපි බැලුවේ genre කියන්නේ ජාතිය මොකක්ද? ඒ ජාතියට ගැලපෙන තේරුම මොකක්ද කියලා තමයි අපි මෙතන බැලුවේ. Horror කියලා කියන්නේ ඔය monsters ලා, ghosts ලා, right? Vampires ලා හැම ඉන්න කතා. Science කියලා කියන්නේ ඔය aliens ලා සහ අනාගතේ වෙන දේවල් පිළිබඳව තියෙනවා. Scientific විද්‍යාත්මක පදනමකින් හැදෙන ඒ කතන්දර. War කියලා කියන්නේ යුද්ධය සම්බන්ධ වේවා. Action කියලා කියන්නේ ගහගන්න, ඒවා මරාගන්න, ඒවා ඒ වගේ ඒවා. Western කියලා කියන්නේ අපි western culture එකේ cowboys ලා ඔය red Indians ලා ඒ වගේ තියෙන western culture එක ගැන කතා කරන ඒවා. අන්න ඒවා. Comedy කියලා කියන්නේ සිනාව හොඳට සිනා වෙන්න පුළුවන් ඒවා, right? Musical කියලා කියන්නේ music ආශ්‍රිතව හැදෙන කතන්දර, right? සංගීතය ආශ්‍රිතව. Romantic කියලා කියන්නේ ආදර ඒවා, right? So අපි බලමු pronunciation මේ වචනවල. ඉස්සෙල්ලා slide එකත් එක්කම අපි බලමු. We'll have a look at the pronunciation along with the previous slide, right? Action, action. Animated, animated. Science fiction, science fiction. Thriller, thriller, not thriller, thriller. Fantasy, comedy, comedy. Romantic, romantic. Documentary, documentary, no, documentary. Musical, musical. Horror, drama. Cartoon, kids. Sports, biographies, right? So again, biographies. So these ones also are quite similar to the ones that we just did before, only Western and war are new words, but we will have a look at it, right? මෙතනදී අපි war and western විතරයි අලුත් වචනයකට තියෙන්නේ. ඒත් අපි බලමු, right? Horror, horror. Science fiction, war, action, western, comedy, musical, romantic. All right, so choose a color and name a movie that you have watched. Okay, so what are you supposed to do? Choose a color and then name a movie that you have watched according to each of these genres. Okay, I'm not a very movie person, I can't remember all, but we could have a look at some of it, right? So horror, music, musical, mystery, romance, science fiction, short stories kind of ones, right? Western, war, thriller, superhero ones, action, adventure, animation, comedy, crime, documentary, fantasies. You've got lots of topics, okay? So if you take musical, what can you say? Tell me a musical movie. So we can take an example for the musical one. Sound of Music. Romantic one can be Titanic. Okay. So crime ones, comedy ones, you have Mr. Bean. It's like a series, like a TV series, right? You can have a look at the different ones and name a movie from each category, right? I think it's important for you to go through each of these categories and find at least one movie and learn to talk about it, because it can be quite useful for you in your speaking test, right? So we will be having a look at speaking topics in the speaking component. So I'll be picking up more on this. But it's good for you to prepare now, so when you're doing that component, it will help you a lot as well. Okay? දැන් මෙතනදී කලර් එකක් choose කරලා ඒ කලර් එකට තියෙන දේ අදාළ එන කැටගරි එකේ මූවි එකක් කියන්න. දැන් ඇෂ් කිව්වොත් musical, ඒකට එනවා Sound of Music is a musical one, right? තමන් හැම කැටගරි එකෙන්ම එකක් බලන්න. බලලා තමන් බලලා නැත්නම් කතාවත් බලන්න හොඳයි. එකක් තමයි language එක improve වෙනවා. අනිත් එක තමයි අපිට ස්පීකිං වලදී මේක ඕනම වෙනවා. ඒ හින්දා අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම බලලා මේක පුරුදු වෙන්න එක එක අජාතියට අදාළ කරන එක එක movies මොනවද කියලා. Right? All right. We have a puzzle. Now this one you have to find the words. Okay? So let's do the easy ones and then later whatever you spot on, do it. That's okay, right? It doesn't have to be in this order. If you find it, you spot it, you can do it, right? So let's do romantic. So I have romantic here. Next, I have thriller here. So done. Thriller, okay? So let's have a look at the next one. We have animated. So I can see animated here. Right? Science fiction. So we have science fiction here. Next we have action movies. Action. Right? We have fantasy ones. So, fantasy. Right? We also have comedy movies. Comedy. Right. Next one, horror. Also, we have musical. Now, there's another type which is not here, right? But cartoon types of ones, remember? Cartoon. I can see that word here, so we can even do that one. Cartoon. Right. So basically, we had a look at action. Right? Where was action? Here. Action movies. Then we have science fiction, animated, comedy, horror, musical, cartoon, fantasy, thriller, romantic. Okay, so we had a look at the words. These words, we had a look at it, and we had a look at the meaning as well, right? ඕගොල්ලෝ මේ වචන ටික හෙව්වාම තියෙන හොඳේ තමයි මතක තියාගන්නත් පුළුවන්. අනිත් එක වචනේ හොඳට ස්පෙලිං වලටත් මතක හිටිනවා. මොකද ඕක listening එකකට එන්නත් පුළුවන්, right? So අපි කරා action, science fiction, animated, comedy, horror, musical, cartoon, fantasy, thriller, romantic, right? Now, apart from this, you could add more to your list, that is fine. And the most important part, as I told you, is this one, right? Coming up with a name for each of it and find out more details about it. When did this movie come out to the cinema, right? Who was the producer? What was the story about? What was the plot? So we'll be doing all of this in the speaking. So when I do it, it will be easier for you to actually answer and then go through with the lesson. So read more about each of these categories like a spin wheel and go through and be ready with an example for each one, right? And if you haven't watched the movies, please feel free to watch it, because one thing is that it exposes you to the language. So you can learn new words, helps you with your listening skills, helps you with your speaking skills, right? Then තමන් මේ එක එක category එකට අවශ්‍ය කරන movies බලන්න නම් මොනවද? මේ movie එක හැදුවේ කවද්ද? කවුද හැදුවේ, right? movie එකේ කතාව මොකද්ද? නරුනිලියෝ කවුද? ඒව බලලා තියාගන්න, මොකද speaking test එකේදී වැදගත් වෙනවා. දැන් ඊට අමතරව බලලා නැති මූවි එකක් තියෙනවා නම් මේ කැටගරි එකේ බලන්න ඕනේ කියලා මම කියන්නේ එකක් තමයි තමන් ලැන්ග්වේජ් එකට එක්ස්පෝස් වෙනවා. ඊට අමතරව තමන්ගේ listening skills වැඩි දියුණු වෙනවා එක එක dialects අහන හින්දා. ඒ හින්දා ඒකට පොඩ්ඩක් time අරගෙන මේ වැඩේ කරන්න. Let's have a look at what we have covered in this lesson, right? So today's lesson was all about movies and TV shows, words that you could use to talk about these movies and TV shows, right? So we had a look at 3 questions at the start. Then we had a look at some of the movies that you could remember and the genre, a new word for you, genre. That is, what type of movie is it? And then we had a look at vocabulary. We also had to match the genre to the meaning so that it would help you to remember. And then this one was like a little homework for you that I'm giving also, right? Because this will continue to your speaking part. So you must go through each of these types, okay? And then be ready with the movie names and the actors and actresses and the plot about each of these types in the movies, right? And then finally, we also did a crossword puzzle, right? බැලුවොත් අද අපි මොකක්ද කරේ කියලා අපි කරේ movies and TV shows ගැන. අපි ඉස්සෙල්ලාම questions 3ක් කරලා ඊට පස්සේ vocabulary බලලා ගැලපෙන genre කියන වචනේ අපි ඉගෙන ගත්ත genre එකයි meanings උයි match කරලා බැලුවා. homework එකක් වගේ එකක් දුන්නා ඔයගොල්ලන්ට speaking වලට අවශ්‍ය වෙන එකක් ස්පින් වීල් එක right එක මූවි ටයිප් එක ජොන්ර් එකට අදාළ වෙන මූවි එකක් මොකක්ද ඒ ගැන විස්තර හොයලා තියාගන්න ස්පීකින් එකේදී ඕන වෙනවා ඊට අමතරව අපි crossword puzzle එකක් කරා so that brings us to the end of the lesson movies and TV shows